All right, good afternoon. My name is Kate. I am the Director of Strategic Growth with Dentist Job Connect. We do know that hiring an associate can be one of the most challenging processes in practice ownership. So what we've done is create a team that helps make hiring an associate both affordable and fun. For more information, just text HIRE to 215-798-9897. We're really excited. I'm thrilled to have had the opportunity to meet and watch Dr. Phelps present at our Super Dentist Boost Camp. Today, we're meeting with Dr. Phelps, who's an entrepreneur. He's a general dentist and an award-winning author. We know firsthand that you will enjoy this 1-hour segment about how to move your office from in-network to fee-for-service. Be sure to put any questions that you have in the chat group. At the end, we will have time for a Q&A session. Dr. Phelps, you can pop on.
Hello, hello.
Hey, hey. We're excited to have you here.
Yeah, me too. All right, gang, let's get to it. Lots of good stuff to cover. Not a ton of time to do it. All right. So let's get into the meat of why we're all here. Real quick, some disclosures. You may hear me mention a couple of any of these companies or books that I've written, companies I've started, services I offer, etc. Just know, obviously, I'm a little biased because they are my company's product or services, but I still think they're the best thing out there. So having said that, okay, why are we here today, right? Why are we talking about going from an in-network provider to a fee-for-service provider? Well, for the longest time, I've always looked at being an in-network provider as we're like a hamster on a hamster wheel, right? It's literally a race to nowhere, just constantly spinning our wheel, so to speak, and no real benefit except energy expended, okay? So what we've noticed in the industry throughout the years is that there's been a decreased amount of reimbursement rates coming to the independent practitioner, right? So each year, the amount of money you're getting reimbursed from the dental insurance companies is going down, right? It's not going up. Why is that? Well, because of the growth of the DSOs, right? The large non-dental owned, non-dental managed entities that through their buying power and numbers are able to negotiate higher rates and reimbursement rates for filing insurance with these groups, okay? Well, we all know the insurance company is not in the business to pay out claims. They're in the business to make money, right? They have shareholders and their shareholders expect profits. So if you take money away from one side of the table, meaning giving more to the DSOs, to balance the scale so they can make profit, they got to take that money back from other groups. And who suffered that is the independent practitioner. So decreased reimbursement rates going on, as well as fixing our price so that we can't charge what we really need to charge as a result, okay? On top of that, so let's give an example. So like in a pre-COVID world, it was very easy to see with the amount of discounts that you were accepting off the fee that you wanted to pay, to charge the patient, that you in essence were doing 10 crowns and only getting paid for 7 or 8 crowns. So the math was fairly easy in that point, right? It's a fixed discount. So if you wanted to make more money, make more profit, whatever that is, how do you outwork the problem? Well, it's just simple. Okay, you work harder. You do 1 more crown a day, or open up an extra hour a week, or open up an extra day a week, right? So there was a way that you could work harder and outwork that problem. But now something amazing has happened in this post-COVID world, right? Many of us are just now experiencing for the first time this inflation effect, right? And when prices are skyrocketing and the value of the dollar is decreasing, obviously that's going to have an impact on how we run and do our business, right? So in this post-COVID world, it's becoming less and less favorable to be an in-network provider. In fact, suddenly the math is starting to not make sense at all, okay? Well, and it makes sense because, you know, we're finding that in nationwide, the number of people that actually have a PPO style insurance is not going up every year. That's going down. So we have less and less patients that we can treat because they don't have insurance anymore. Right? We know costs, as we said, are going up. What used to cost $1 now costs $1.50, all because of this inflation effect. We see cost in labor skyrocketing, cost in supplies, our labs, marketing. I mean, everything has risen across the board. But what's the problem with that, right? We're fixed into a rate and we can't charge more. So now there's a new problem that's been presented for practice owners who are looking for growth and profitability. What do you do when you're doing 10 crowns, but because the value of the dollar is less, your reimbursements are less, right? Your costs have skyrocketed. You're in essence doing 10 crowns and only getting paid for 3. So how do you outwork that problem? Well, we all know the answer, and where it's all heading is that eventually you can't outwork the problem, right? There's not enough hours in the day, there's not enough days in the week to outwork that problem. So while it's been a good run to be in the insurance game, I don't think for the independent practitioner that it's going to make sense for the long run without being able to leverage the power of some larger buying group to help you. Okay. Now, I saw this early on in my career, which I was very fortunate, right? So I graduated from dental school in 2003. I moved back to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I joined Dr. Thomas Grimes in Matthews, North Carolina, who had been my wife's dentist since she was 14. And one of the unique things about Tom was that when I joined him in 2003, even though he had kind of had the small little office that he had renovated into a dental practice, he was a true fee-for-service office. So he had already made this transition out of dental insurance. And in fact, he made it years earlier. Why? Why did he drop all the insurance companies? It made sense for Tom when he graduated dental school in 1989, because that's what every dentist did, right? That was your marketing, so to speak. So you didn't have to put money in marketing dollars, right? You could put your name on a shingle and hang it outside and sign up with every insurance plan that there was, and automatically you would get patients as a result. Well, and it was actually a nice benefit back then, right? So in 1989, I believe he told me that he was charging $600 for a crown back then. And guess how much the insurance companies paid for that crown? $400, right? Well, it kind of made sense, right? It really wasn't much of a discount. And because you didn't have to spend money in marketing, it was actually a good deal for dentists. But suddenly, as we know, time has shifted. Even though the insurance companies have paid $400 for a crown since 1976, and that's what they're paying for a crown today, obviously the cost of our crowns have had to go up and everything else that we do. But the insurance companies haven't adjusted as a result. So Tom was kind of feeling this effect early on in his career. So he started in 89 and he found himself at the end of 1996 with the insurance companies owing him over $400,000 in accounts receivable, meaning money for the cleanings, money for treatment that had been done that they should have paid for, that he wasn't getting paid for. So he made a bold move that January of 1997. He dropped out of every insurance plan that he was, and he went out of network, okay, with all of them, right? And so patients would come in, they would pay him for his cleanings, he'd file their insurance, and they would get the insurance check in the mail. He paid them in full for the crowns. He would file insurance and they would wait on the insurance money. Okay. Now, what was the result when he just dropped them all? Because Tom wasn't the best communicator of this back in the day. Well, as you can imagine, it kind of, in theory, significantly hurt his practice, right? He lost 50% of his patients that year. That's a huge, staggering number, and probably one of the many fears that most of you are having right now as to why you don't want to go out of network. It's this whole idea of this loss of all these patients that are going to happen, this mass exodus that you think is about to occur. Okay. Well, the interesting thing about that was that even though Tom lost half his patients, guess what happened that year? He actually took home the same amount of income and profitability that he had the previous year, right? So in essence, the people that did stay, the other half, so to speak, and paid Tom's full fee, more than made up for the fact of those 50% that he lost. So Tom realized suddenly he could work smarter, not harder. And then through the years, when I joined him in 2003, he had built up through referrals and other things from those that stayed, a nice fee-for-service based practice. And that was a great opportunity for me to jump into right out of dental school. And it was really the catalyst for our growth. And so Tom was really good about letting me use my ideas and about marketing and things I want to do to grow us. And next thing you know, we 10 times the revenue of the business over the next 7-year period, growing from 1 fee-for-service location to 4 fee-for-service locations. Being in competitive markets where we were 1 dentist for every 700 people in the zip code, and non-competitive markets where we were 1 dentist for every 5,000 patients in that zip code, right? So despite being surrounded in a sea of PPO doctors, we were always able to thrive. Okay. So I feel like no matter where you are today in your situation, we already see the writing on the wall that it's going to get harder and harder and harder to be a network provider. So now is the perfect time to make this transition. So what's been holding you back to this point? Okay. Well, with the dentist I talk to and the dentist I coach and how to make this transition, probably the number one thing that's been holding them back is the lack of a plan, right? So without some kind of clear game plan on how to do this, it's hard to take those initial steps down this path. Okay. So that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about today. So, what is the game plan to go from in network provider to a fee for service provider? Well, first, you have to categorize and prioritize things. So, we have to know how big is the problem, right? And we'll talk about that. How do we categorize these things? And then we're going to prioritize them. Who's got to go first? Who's got to go second, et cetera. In the same time, once we've categorized and prioritized folks, we got to discuss who can we keep, right? Let's keep who we can. Let's plan for the worst, assuming we're going to lose a significant number of patients, but let's hope for the best. Let's have a plan in spite of that so it doesn't have to hurt us from a profitability standpoint. Okay. Guess what? We're not going to make this huge sweeping game plan changes overnight, right? We're going to take it step by step by step at whatever pace your risk tolerance level allows. Okay. And ultimately, the goal, my goal for you is to go from an in-network provider, a PPO provider, to the assignment of benefit world, which basically means that you're out of network. You still file the insurance as a courtesy to the patient, estimating what they're going to pay, but you wait on that insurance reimbursement. So it's less out of pocket for the patient. Okay. As long as the insurance company will send you the check as an out of network provider, the truth is you could drop that insurance plan right now and you wouldn't necessarily lose any of those patients. Okay. So the assignment of benefit world is a fantastic world. The only problem is you're going to see is there's a limited time that you're going to be able to tap into this. Once you've gotten into the assignment of benefit space, then you can kind of really transition more seamlessly and easily to a fee for service space. And if possible, making that fee for service practice a membership plan model. And so I'll just hit on that briefly at the end today. So let's start at the beginning. What's those first steps? So we gotta find the low-hanging fruit, right? We got to categorize and prioritize. So what do I mean by categorize? Well, number one, we got to know, well, let's just on a spreadsheet, let's list all of your dental insurance plans that you're signed up with. Okay. And I know it gets kind of convoluted when you've signed up for some of these umbrella plans and they make you in network with 1,000 other different insurance plans. Okay. But to the best of your ability, we need to size them all out, divide them all out by each individual insurance company. Okay. And categorize them that way. And then figure out, well, how many number of patients are on that you have that are using that plan in your practice. Now let's identify, well, how much of a hit are you taking off your fee? So what % discount off the fee you would like to charge have you accepted with their fee schedule? Okay. And now the most important piece of this is, and it's sometimes it's one of the more difficult information pieces to find because you sometimes literally have to call the insurance company and keep hammering them until they give you an answer. But will they send you the assignment of benefit check if you're an out-of-network provider? Or do they force and send the patient the check? So you, in essence, have to charge the patient in full, and then like at our practices, and then the patient's going to wait on the check. So they will not send you the assignment benefit check. Okay. So those are kind of three key areas I like to categorize all of these insurance plans. Now, once we've got them categorized, now let's identify who's first to go, who's second to go. So in my mind, that's going to be somebody who's first to go is probably somebody I'm giving a really significant discount, maybe 30, 40% of my fee is getting discounted on this plan. And maybe I don't have as many people on this plan as I do some of these others. Because now what better place to test this plan and give you confidence that it's going to work, right? If we're just going after a smaller group of people who we could potentially lose, right? Versus starting with Delta, which is probably going to be one of your last ones that you're going to drop, okay? And again, especially if that insurance company will send you the out-of-network check as the assignment of benefit, I would definitely put that on my list of, hey, this is one of the first that need to go, okay? So we've categorized them. Now we prioritize them, which ones are going to go when. Okay. Now we got to focus on how do we make this transition? Okay. Well, we have to focus on keeping who we can, right? That's key. We're going to plan to lose everyone, but what if we keep everyone? What could that do for our practice, right? If we make a plan that everybody's gone, it doesn't hurt us, but everybody stays or a significant number stay, what is that going to do for your practice, right? Well, if you have less people to replace, meaning less production to replace that takes off, that means you actually grow faster, both in revenue and in profitability. So to keep who you can, right, we have to do some things to help set the stage that more people are going to stay, right? So how do we do that? Well, this is where focusing on relationships with your patients are key. Okay. You have to control the narrative. You cannot let the insurance company control the narrative to your patients. You got to be the one to communicate to them and let them know this is coming on the horizon. And they still have the opportunity to be your patient, despite what they're going to get in the mail or hear from their insurance company. Okay. And we're going to talk about showing them that you got better options or options that may work better in your practice than their own insurance plan. Okay. So let's start with that first one. These relationships are key. So when it comes to building relationships, we're going to leverage two of Dr. Robert Cialdini's 6 principles of persuasion. And if you haven't heard me talk about Dr. Cialdini's persuasion principles or gone through one of my 2-day workshops to find out how you can apply these to your practice, I definitely recommend you tap into that. Okay. So the 2 principles that Cialdini speaks on in his behavioral science research that can help us build relationships the best are the principle of reciprocity and the principle of liking. Okay. So let's talk about this principle of reciprocity. And it's as old as time. I mean, it's literally biblical. It's this idea that if you give a gift to a person and that gift has value or significance to them, an obligation is created inside of them that they feel the need to give back, and usually give back in kind. Okay. So the better we get at giving these kind of gifts to our patients, the more likely they are to value that relationship we have and stay as a result, despite the fact that we may not be working as well with their insurance plan as we used to. Okay. Now, on the surface, when it comes to gifts that you can give people, right, you might be thinking of these like physical, tangible gifts, like a gift card or gift certificate or money or something like that, a discount off their treatment as a gift from you, what have you. Okay. Now, those are fine, but I actually prefer these intangible gifts. These are the things that people value more, right? And these are the things that keep them coming back to see you, even if it may not be convenient, right? So when you give them your attention and your time, for instance, I mean, I literally had a patient I was doing a consult with the other day. And after about 10 minutes of her talking and giving me her backstory and whatnot, she stops her conversation and says, you know what, doc, I'm just going to stop right here and just say automatically, this is the best dental visit I've ever had. And I mean, she was like in her 70s. And I'm like, really? This is the best dental visit you ever had? Why is that? And she goes, well, honestly, I can tell, I've been talking for 10 minutes nonstop, and I can tell that you're not leaving this room anytime soon. And I was like, well, no, why would I leave the room? Like, you booked this time, we booked this time together. I need to know your history and your story, and I want to dig into what's going on so I can help. And she goes, well, every other dentist I've been to, I could just tell they couldn't get me out of the room fast enough. So she felt like a number to them, right? It was a quantity-based business model, so to speak. But here in my model, it's totally different, right? It's time. So she valued that time and attention I was giving her as the best gift ever. So again, we got to get better at giving these intangible gifts to people, okay? And you'll know that you've given these things because they help create great experiences for the patients, right? When you hear things like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're done today. That's it. Or, geez, doc, I didn't feel that shot. Or, yeah, I didn't have any pain from this implant. You're amazing. Like anytime they go out of the way to thank you or generally praise you for what you've done for them in any way, shape, or form, you've given them one of these gifts. Okay. So why not at the morning huddle? Why aren't we talking to our teams about how many great experiences did we hear and give to our patients yesterday? Who heard some examples? Let's talk about it, right? And if we focus our attention on making sure we're giving great experiences to our patients, we're going to build better relationships, and they're more likely to stay despite the fact that we're not working with their insurance like we used to. Okay. So reciprocity is going to be key to keeping more of these patients on board with us, to keep who we can. At the same time, we're going to leverage the liking principle. Well, the liking principle is fairly simple, right? We like to do business with people we like, right? But ultimately, the liking principle says that we like to do business with those who are like us, who have similarities, common interests to us. So if you're not doing this already, you need to make sure you find some kind of connection to your patients. Ideally, at least one thing in common, if not multiple things in common. Oh, you got 2 kids? I got 2 kids. Oh, you like that sports team? I like that sports team. Oh, you have a dog? I have a dog. Tell me about your dog, right? Whatever that connection is, don't even underestimate the power of a pseudo connection, right? If that's all you got. But the more connections, the more things in common we can show that we have with our patients, the better the relationship is built and the stronger that bond is. So again, now because it's inconvenient for them that we're not working with their insurance like we used to, they're now more willing to stay. So let's focus on finding connections with people. At the same time, we like those who like us and tell us they like us. So what can we do to tell patients that we like them, or even better, show them that we like them, to build this relationship and keep who we can when we go out of network? Okay. Well, one of the easiest ways you can do that is taking photos with your patients. I mean, think about that. Who do we usually ask to take a picture with us? Enemies or friends, right? So getting a cute, funny little sign and asking your patients to take a photo with you implies to them that you're a friend, right? You're a pal. Because you're asking them to take that. And then they really appreciate this when you email them the photos. Okay. I've seen them post it on their social media link. Hey, look what my dentist sent me and what we did today. And they'll definitely approve you to post it on your social media link. So it gives you all kinds of great social media content to post and put in your advertisements, right? But by showing patients we like them and taking these photos with them, they're more likely to like us and hang out with us. What if you did something like this to show them that you like them? What if you had a patient that was coming in and their birthday was anywhere around the time of this appointment, okay, plus or minus a week or so, right? If they came into the operatory with birthday streamers, a card signed by everyone at the office and the doctor, right? I mean, look at this patient, right? Do you think that she knows people like her here? They took the time to do that. And when the day comes that she finds out you're not working with her insurance anymore, as like you used to, and it might be a little inconvenient, at least initially, do you think she's more likely to stay with you guys or less likely? More likely, right? Because who does that? Nobody does that at a dental or medical office. But if you do, suddenly you can change the outcome. What if you did something like this for them to recognize them on their birthday? What if they got this video from you on their special day?
From all of us here at Carolina's Dental Center, we just want to wish you a happy birthday and let you know we're thinking about you on your special day.
So this kind of video is something I did with my team members because we were celebrating one of our team members' birthdays. And I got the idea. I was like, why don't we pose this as if we're celebrating our patient's birthday? So it literally took us 30 seconds to record this. And we uploaded it into one of our automated softwares. And every birthday our patient had on their birthday itself, they got this video from us. And then every year when it was one of our team members' birthdays, we refilmed the video. So it was fresh and new each year. Okay. Now, speaking of showing them that we like them, how special do you think they felt that we took the time to do this? And do you think they minded sharing that on their social media platforms? No. Do you think they minded us sharing it on our platform? No. And the benefit is, again, when we show them that we like them, they're more likely to like us back. So we can keep more, okay, of the people that we can. Now, at the same time, I said earlier, we have to control this narrative. You're not going to drop out a network and let the insurance company then control the network, meaning you haven't told your patient you're going out of network. And then the first they hear of it is when they get this letter from their insurance company that says, FYI, you can't go see that person anymore. No, we don't let others control our narrative. We have to control the narrative. Okay. So how do we do that? Is this while we're doing our hygiene exam, right? When we got all of our fingers in their mouth. So, Mr. Jones, we're going out of network. What are your thoughts on that? No, right? So once everything's done, we're going to sit the patient up and we're going to have a conversation with them. Okay. And what I like to do is 6 months before you go out of network, you need to be doing this with those patients with that insurance plan. Okay. Giving them the heads up. So in theory, in 6 months, you should have seen almost every one of them. Okay. So what are we going to discuss with them? Okay. Well, we're going to talk about, hey, what's changing, right? We're going to be, changing, making a change here. Here's why. We got to justify why we're doing this and put the blame on who deserves it. The insurance company, the cost of everything rising. I mean, the patients are reasonable people. They see costs of everything rising. When you tell them that the insurance company has paid $400 for a crown every year since 1976 and has not increased and is keeping you from increasing your prices to keep up with inflation, it's not going to be hard for them to do the math to see that it doesn't make sense. Okay. And that you're still going to do your best through the assignment of benefit or whatever to maximize their insurance reimbursement. All right. Suddenly we're starting to speak their language in a way that it makes sense on why you're doing what you're doing. Okay. So you got to justify why we're doing this to the patients. And at the same time of focusing on what's changing and telling them what's to change in your processes and whatnot, the next thing we need to do is focus on and make sure they understand what's not changing. when you do this. And one of the things that's not changing is we can still be your dentist. You can still have quality care here. We're just not going to let the insurance company stick their head in there and try to dictate what the best treatment is for you. We're going to discuss that and decide that together. Okay. And of course, we're going to define for them how it's going to affect their future visits. Okay. If it's going to really affect them at all. Okay. So not only do I want to inform them at the chair, okay, everyone that's on this insurance plan, before you drop it, should be getting a letter from you, basically highlighting all of these categories, exactly everything you're saying at the chair. Hey, here's what's changing. Here's what's not changing. Here's why we're doing this. Here's what differences you're going to see at your cleaning visits. Okay. Here's what you can expect at future visits, the same, and what's going to change. But the key here is that you have to control this narrative. Don't let others control it for you, and especially not the insurance companies. Now, another way we can keep who we can is that we can show this patient that we actually have options that work better in our practice than what their insurance plan covers, right? And that's really why I'm a fan of the dental membership plan, okay? So if you haven't read my book on this topic, How to Grow Your Dental Membership Plan, or read the sections in the complete book on dental marketing, I highly recommend that you do so, okay? Because there are some significant benefits to having a membership plan in your practice. Now, you might be thinking, why in the world would I talk to an insurance patient about our membership plan? Because those are kind of two different things. Well, the reason I like to promote the membership plan to existing patients with insurance is because times have changed, right? And so in pre-COVID terms, the employee, so to speak, meaning your patient, paid a very small percentage of the dental insurance premium. So the employer kind of paid the bulk, meaning, pre-COVID, the employer is paying $60 a month for their dental insurance plan, and the employee is only paying $30 a month. Well, in a post-COVID world, it's flipped. Now, the insurance companies realized they couldn't delete dental insurance as a benefit altogether, even though they wanted to, because as soon as they took away dental insurance and that benefit, their employees would have protested significantly. So what they've done is steadily put the burden of paying for the dental insurance plan back on the employee to get it off their balance sheet. So in a post-COVID world, now the business is only paying $30 a month and the employee is paying $60 a month. Okay. Well, that's pretty significant, especially, and they've gotten really good about hiding that fact. Okay. So now they're bundling medical and dental insurance under the same premium, so to speak. And they're charged, and then so the patient only sees one number coming out of their monthly checking, okay, when they get their payment stubs and whatnot. So they have to actually get clever and call their HR and find out, hey, how much of this is actually health insurance versus how much is dental insurance, to get the true answer, okay? But for most of the patients we've surveyed and that our clients at Dental Membership Direct have surveyed, guess what? The employee's paying over $60 a month. So if you come with them and let them know that you have a membership plan that's as low as $35 a month, in contrast, suddenly you show them that I've got something better. And it may incentivize them to want to drop that insurance plan or not renew it the next go round. Okay. I think, and if they pick up your membership plan, guess what? That's called brand loyalty. Now you've locked them in and given them another anchor to your practice besides the relationship between you and the patient as an anchor, the relationship between your team and the patient as an anchor. Now we have a third anchor to keep them here. Okay. So we're gonna keep who we can. But now we got to get to the nitty-gritty, right? Let's plan for the worst. What if everybody leaves? Worst case scenario. Okay. But let's hope for the best. Let's have a plan in spite of that. So how do we do that? Right. So we're going to assume everybody's going to leave. But if they've all leave, that means we need to have replaced them with new patients before we drop out of this network. Okay. So we plan for the worst and we hope for the best. We're going to replace them with people who don't care that you're out of network, who don't mind waiting on the, that are okay with the fact that you're going to wait on the assignment benefit check, so to speak. Okay. Or just don't mind that you're out of network altogether. Or ideally, we're going to replace them with more patients who don't have dental insurance at all, which is an increasing number of our population, right? So let's bring in people who aren't going to see the dentist for any reason, using our membership plan as the hook to get them in. Okay. But in essence, if we replace these folks on the front end, before we drop, we've replaced all of their production. So obviously, if we lose everybody that was on that plan, let's say you had 150 patients that were on an insurance policy. But this year, before we dropped out of network, we added 150 patients that either didn't care we were out of network or didn't have insurance altogether, right? We've in essence replaced that production. So you could theory lose them all, but you've replaced their production from before you actually dropped. So it doesn't cost you anything to drop out of network. But worst case scenario, even if you didn't have a plan to replace them, guess what? Remember the good news. That's what Ground figured out. You could lose up to half of these patients, half of them, right? And ideally, if you're charging your full fee, the half that stay, you make the same money. But you now create capacity in your office and open chair time to put more new patients in there who don't care that you're out of network or don't have insurance altogether, okay? And the other thing to remember is, again, we're not going to do this all at once. We're going to do this step by step by step. So one of the things I wanted you to focus on is replacing these folks through referrals, because what better way to replace them than with a low-cost internal marketing medium? And that's what referrals does for us. So let's find our patients who are here right now who don't care that we're out of network or going out of network. Let's get referrals from them because they probably have friends in the same boat. You ever heard this? Birds of a feather flock together, right? Let's get referrals from our existing patients who don't have dental insurance, because that's who we're trying to attract more of anyway, right? So if they don't have insurance and they're using us, maybe they have some friends that might as well. Don't forget to promote this to existing patients, our dental membership plan. Why? Because it may incentivize when they find out that they're paying $60 a month and your membership plan would only cost them $35 a month. Guess what? It might incentivize them to drop their plan and pick up your membership plan instead. Now insurance isn't an issue anymore. It may incentivize them to not renew their dental insurance plan when it comes time to renewals, which is around this time of the year, right? Or at a worst case, if you educate them about your membership plan and they leave with a brochure, guess what? They may take that and give that information to a friend of theirs or family member who doesn't have insurance. So either way, you win in that scenario, okay? So by using referrals and promoting the membership plan to our existing patients, okay, we can attract more people and replace these folks before they're even gone. And of course, there's always a way to replace them through external marketing if all else fails, right? So to leverage external marketing, we have to understand, right? Who is this market we're looking for? Who do we want more of? People that don't care we're out of network, right? And people who don't have insurance altogether. What's our message going to be that's going to attract this person? What's the content going to be that's going to move them our direction and get them interested in what we have to offer? Speaking of offer, what is our offer going to be, right? Is it an offer of convenience? Is it an authority offer? We obviously want to shy away from offers like monetary offers, like the $99 new patient special, things that kind of breed price shoppers and a low quality patient. But what offers can we use to attract a higher quality patient to the practice? How do we add more of the influence principles, these principles of persuasion to make our marketing more effective, whatever that is? And then we can start looking at some strategic mediums that we can experiment in to see if we can attract more new patients through offline medium like direct mail, online medium like Google AdWords, radio, TV. I mean, there's so many different marketing mediums out there that you could be tapping into to find this target market, right? To find people to build your practice where insurance is not an issue for them. And of course, we have to learn how to track this thing well, okay? So we can replace these folks through internal referrals, through getting existing patients to drop their plan and pick up our membership plan, or getting them to refer to someone without insurance. And we can replace them through upping up our external marketing efforts until we find some trusted mediums that are starting to bring in a number of quality new patients where insurance is not a factor for them, okay? So let's look at the math. How do we plan for the worst now and hope for the best? And do this in a step-by-step manner. Well, go back to our target list. Who's up first, right? So let's say we've got an insurance company, okay, and that we want to drop for the different criteria. We're taking a huge hit off our discounts that we're offering through them. What else? They will send us the check as an out-of-network provider. And let's say they've got 120 people on the plan, okay? So we kind of know a number, 120 patients are on this plan, right? So let's plan for the worst and hope for the best. And let's reverse engineer how we're going to do this, okay? So this is who's up first. Now, know that when you cancel an insurance policy and trying to get out of network, you can't get out from day one. They still keep you in for a 90-day window. So you're still on the hook for 3 more months. So we have to factor that into our plan. So if we have 120 patients we're trying to replace, worst case scenario, with people that don't care that we're out of network or don't have insurance. Okay. Then our goal is we have to somehow increase our new patient count by at least 10 per month using any of the ways we just talked about previously through internal methods, external methods, what have you. So we got to get our new patient count up by 10 per month. Okay. Now, once it's been 9 months, that's when we officially drop out of network. And again, this has now given us that 6-month window to control the narrative and let these patients know at the chair and through a letter that they receive at their home that what the plan is and why we're doing this. Okay. Now at month 9, we can drop out and go out of network. So that by month 12, if we've increased by 10 new patients a month, we've added 120 new patients who don't care that we're out of network or don't have insurance. So now that we're out, if we end up losing that 120, well, guess what? We've replaced that production before it was ever lost. So in essence, it didn't have to cost us. But now guess what happens? For every patient that stays, despite you being out of network, that's just growth and profitability for your practice. So it can be a significant game changer in increasing that growth and profitability. Okay. So, and you do this step by step. And then once you've done it with the first plan, right? And again, 12 months, that's a safe timeline. It may be 6 months for you, right? It may be 3 months. You may do 2 insurance plans at a time, right? So ultimately, do one at whatever your risk tolerance level is, get confident, see that this works, and then start taking on the others. And then slowly but surely, you make your plan, taking it step by step by step. Okay. And you then repeat the process with the second plan and the third one. Maybe we add 2 plans at a time, right? Maybe this marketing medium worked better than I thought. I'm getting, instead of 10 new patients a month, I'm getting 30 more new patients a month than what I'm used to. Well, with 30 more, that means I can drop, in theory, 2 more insurance plans under the same timeline that I had, right? So ultimately, I leave that up to you, but start with the number in mind, right? Pick your target and reverse engineer how you're going to get there, okay? And remember, again, the worst case scenario, you could literally lose half of these patients if you didn't do anything, if you didn't plan for the worst and hope for the best, if you just drop these plans tomorrow, and you could still make the same profitability, but now you're creating capacity to add more quality new patients who don't care that you're out of network and are okay paying your full fee, right? Now let's talk about the transition again, all right? We want to go from the PPO world as ideally to this assignment of benefit space. So we're estimating what the insurance company is going to pay us as an out-of-network provider. Okay, we're filing that as a courtesy to the patient, and we're waiting on that money. Okay. Now, one of the things I did notice is that for most of the insurance companies, even though we were out of network, they still paid us 100% of our preventative fee. So I was still able to get 100% collections on hygiene related items. Okay, which was pretty phenomenal given the fact we're out of network. But ultimately, I tried to make it a low cost or zero cost perception for the patient, because the patient's focus and attention is on not paying any money out of pocket at their cleaning. That's what they're used to. So if I can wait on the insurance money and I'm going to get 100%, if not close to 100% of my preventative fee, and so it's zero out of pocket for them, then that's fantastic. The patient's focus is not on price shopping you for your crowns and whether you're in network or out of network for that. Okay. It's on that hygiene and how much is coming out of their pocket at that visit. And so the assignment of benefit space allows me to make that zero out of pocket for hygiene for them. We're pretty close to it. Or even if there's a small amount of money, right? So $10 to $25, $50, people are still willing to pay that. And we define that as, hey, this is with your insurance benefit, this is your copay. This is your portion you got to pay to supplement, right? So we could even charge for that if you'd like, okay? Now, once we're in the assignment of benefit space, then what's going to happen is we're going to get to these insurance companies who will not send us the check as an out-of-network provider, like your Deltas, okay? So, I noticed this with like Blue Cross and Blue Shield is another one. It was one of the first insurance companies to start doing this, where they absolutely, once you're out of network, they only send the check to the patient. Now, that's the hardest conversation to have with somebody, because now you're literally having to take them, in essence, from, not paying anything out of pocket for the preventative to paying the full amount, unless you want to run up a balance with them and, once they get their insurance money, bill them after the fact and hope that they're going to pay you. Okay. So that's a tough sell, right? So my hope would be that we focus on these companies that will still send you the out-of-network assignment of benefit check, right? First. let's make the transition through them so that the last ones we're going to drop are these ones like the Blue Cross Blue Shield and Delta, who will not send it to you. Because here's how things like this work, right? When Blue Cross was the first to do it, when they step out from the crowd, all the insurance companies would look at them going, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Oh, look what happened. They're making more money. And they're kind of forcing dentists to make a choice, right? It's kind of by doing that, they saw that it's either going to motivate their patient base, their clients, so to speak, to leave that doctor and go find an in-network provider, or it's going to influence more dentists to come back in network as a result. From Blue Cross's standpoint, they won in either scenario, okay? But now that they've had good data on it, then Delta started doing it. Now you got two. Once you got two, that's going to influence two more to do it. So I'm just waiting for the next two insurance companies to take this step. Once you've got 4, 8 are going to do it. And then 16, meaning there's going to be a period in time when none of them will send us the check as an out-of-network provider. So I would prefer for most of you guys to start making this transition now, okay, before that day comes. When is it going to come? I don't know. It's like a time bomb, right? I know the clock's ticking down. I just can't see the clock. So whether that's a year from now, it's 5 years from now, I don't know. But I would prefer that whenever it does hit, you're well on the path of this transition and have already gotten confident from dropping these plans and seeing that it doesn't have to cost you anything to do that. And then, of course, once you've gotten to the fee-for-service base, or all along this time, you should be building your membership plan base, right? What's the purpose of a membership plan? You might ask yourself, right? Aren't I still giving a discount? Well, remember with membership plans, every behavioral science study out there in the buying habits of consumers that shop and services that offer a membership plan, like Costco, Sam's Club, right? All say the same thing, okay? That because of that brand loyalty, Costco shoppers don't shop at Sam's Club, right? Sam's Club don't shop at Costco. So you retain customer loyalty, but at the same time, they see it as this perceived value. So membership plan patients spend more on average than every other kind of patient in your practice, right? And right now, there's so many people going without insurance, but our culture is so ingrained in us, it's beat into our mind that you have to have dental insurance to go see any kind of doctor, right? So you got to have medical insurance or dental insurance. And if you don't have it, then you can't go. So there's so many people not going to see the dentist today because they don't have insurance and they feel like they can't afford it. So this membership plan is going to help us attract those people. Hey, no insurance? We got you covered. We got your back. We've got something for you. For as little as $1 a day, you could get back on the path to better oral health. Let me show you how. So you can leverage this membership plan to attract more new patients. Remember, you're in control of this thing. Going back to the buying habits, studies show that patients' focus is not on the amount of discount that they get as a plan member. So we don't have to give a 20% discount or a 30% discount or a 40% discount with your membership plan. What I've been recommending to our dental membership direct clients is a 30% discount across, a 10% discount across the board is all you need to do, 10%. So the focus and mindset of a patient interested in a plan like this is this. I just want to get a little something off for doing what I know I need to do anyway. Okay, that's it. So as long as you satisfy that, you win. So now we're giving a 10% discount, okay? But guess what? Our prices go up every year, but the discount stays the same. That's why with a membership plan, we're in control of it, and our reimbursements are going up every year. Going back to patients who have a membership plan spend more money than those that don't, it will now help you increase your case acceptance. So instead of a patient that has 2 crowns and 2 fillings, opting to do 1 or 2 fillings and waiting on the 2 crowns, they're going to see the value of how much they save as a plan member if they did the 2 fillings and the 2 crowns all at the same time. Bundle and save is the mindset here. They're going to see that and go, oh, well, geez, I save so much by doing this treatment. It basically pays for my plan. It basically gives me the cleanings for the year for free. Okay. So now they're going to do all of that treatment up front instead of breaking it out over time. Why do you win in that scenario? Well, obviously it's more money today, but the risk if they break treatment out over time is what? They may not come back to do it. So it's not a guarantee, right? A bird in the hand is worth more than 2 in the bush, as they say. So I would much prefer to sell the thing today and close the deal today, okay, than hope that we're going to get these patients in for more later. The last benefit of a membership plan, as you probably know, is it closes the back door. So it's going to create that brand loyalty, as I mentioned, right? Costco shoppers don't shop at Sam's Club and vice versa. So it's going to anchor them to your practice. So they're not going to be distracted by the next new shiny dental ad they see in the mail or see online. Why? Because they have a membership plan with you. Why would they go anywhere else? And remember, when you stop this attrition, right? When we stop losing people out the back door, studies show that for every one patient you lose, it costs you 4 times the amount in marketing to replace that person because of that lost production as a result. So not only does it save us that, that loss, so to speak, by keeping people, that also means we don't need to spend more in marketing to replace them. Because for every patient you lose each month, you need a new patient coming in just to break even, just to do what you did last year to replace their production. And you have to match your attrition number before you can even grow. Okay. So the membership plan is going to help you do that. So I hope you see now that we've got a game plan. We're going to categorize these plans that we have, right? Let's get the real detail on these things. How many are on it? What's our discount? Will they send us the check or not as an out-of-network provider? Let's prioritize them. Who's first to go? Who's second? Okay. Could I do 2 of these at one time? Let's control that narrative. Let's focus on keeping who we can. Okay. Let's plan for the worst. Let's plan to replace them all, worst case scenario, in case we lose them all, before we drop this plan. Let's bring in more people who don't care that we're out of network or that don't have insurance altogether. Okay, so we're going to plan for the worst, hope for the best. We're going to take it step by step at whatever framework or timeline you feel comfortable moving at. Remember the goal of transitioning from being an in-network provider to the assignment of benefit space. From the assignment of benefit space, then it's a lot easier to make a transition to the fee-for-service space, along with building this as a membership plan model as well. So let me give you an example of Dr. Siegel, one of the doctors I've worked with in practice coaching and whatnot to make this transition. He was in network with over 24 insurance companies. Okay, strategically dropped 60% of his in-network insurance plans in the first 2 years we were working together. And what happened? Okay, well, his collections actually went up from 1.2 million to 1.4, despite seeing 25% fewer patients as a result. Now, here we are a few years later, and he's finally out of network with all of them. And his income estimated for this year, okay, 2.2 million, almost doubling the collections that he was doing before. Okay, and significantly increasing his net profitability and take home. So guys, you can do this on your own, but if you feel like you need a helping hand, don't feel like you have to do it by yourself. Okay, there's people like myself and others out there that are more than willing to coach you on this and help you make this transition, as well as work with you on other aspects of your practice. And so I hope you enjoyed the talk. I know we have a few questions here. My email is chris@drphelpshelps.com. Please reach out. Let me know that you saw the video. Let me know what you thought of the presentation, any lingering questions. And of course, if I can help you in any way with any of my services, companies, etc., I'd love to have that conversation with you. So, Kate, do we have any questions?
Hey, we do. That was fantastic. Thank you. First question was, if I am purchasing an in-network practice, how long should I wait before going fee for service?
Good question. So I would say, initially you want to wait at least a year, right? So you need time to build those relationships because they're not there. That's the problem, right? And anytime you do a transition like this, not only with the team that you're inheriting and the problems that come with them, but also with the patient mindsets, because they're just meeting you for the first time, creating those relationships and focusing and making sure everybody's focus is on what's not changing is key, right? You want to change as little as possible in the early days. Now, once you've gone through 2 cycles with them, meaning 2 cleanings, now hopefully if they've come back for 2 visits, you've got a chance. Now you've got more of a relationship, and it makes a lot more sense to start trying to make this transition.
Very well said. Okay, the next one is, at what point in the process do you recommend bringing in a coach like yourself?
I'd say at any point in the process, right? Because obviously early on is key, is ideal, because making sure that plan is solidified and, we have a plan of attack, which insurance company is going first, second, somebody like me that can help work with you to on your marketing internally externally, grassroots marketing, so that we can make sure that we find these marketing mediums that are going to increase your new patient count, but that you're not wasting marketing money is key, right? So we're getting a return for what you're spending, because the faster we can figure out the marketing piece for you, whether that's internal or external, the faster you can get out of these plans with confidence, right? So early on is ideal just for that reason, to find the marketing mediums. But hey, if you've already started making the transition and it's not going as fast as you'd like, or you ran into some challenges or barriers you didn't think were going to be there or anticipate, hey, what better time to reach out and get some expert advice to help?
Great. And how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, like I said, the easiest thing to do is just, because I have so many companies and such, just email me at the chris@drphelpshelps.com email address. I'll totally set up a time to talk to you about anything you want to talk about. We can talk about our Sunrise Dental Solutions practice coaching, talk about your practice situation. And in fact, anybody that does a 1-hour call with me to discuss practice coaching, I'll actually send you a free copy of my marketing book, the complete book on dental marketing. So talk about a win-win for everybody. That's the Bible on how to find an unlimited quantity and quality new patients to hit whatever your goals are.
All right. Well, that was fantastic. I do have a couple questions that I can answer just regarding how they can get the recording for this. So if you want to receive the recording for this webinar, text recording to 215-543-6454. Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hopefully that gives people hope, number one. And hopefully, I was able to clarify the plan, because like I said, that's what's keeping most people from even taking the first step, right? But once you have a plan, it becomes a lot easier and you're more confident to move. So I'm really hoping that it's going to incentivize people to start seeing that the writing's on the wall. And I really do feel like, especially now because of COVID and the inflation effect, the amount of time we had to be in network, that we could still maximize that as a small independent practitioner, that window's closing faster than it ever has. So now's the time to move and take that first step.
I couldn't agree more. And talking to practice owners every single day, I get this question a lot. So I'm glad you were able to share this. It gives my team and I a lot of information on how to help them through, meet you through the process. So we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.